Hey everybody, welcome to New Comic Book Day Book Club. My name's Alec. This is White Whale Comics. That's John. And that is our guest, KatRen Figures.
Hi.
If you are on YouTube and do comic book stuff on YouTube, which you probably do if you're watching this show, if not, you're going to be sorely disappointed in the content. You should be subscribed to KatRen Figures.
Thank you.
You really nailed that. I mean, you nailed it.
I mean, that logic was sound. Tonight, we are going to be talking about this book, Tartarus.
Tartarus.
Tartarus #1, which was pretty thick, about 50 pages.
Man,
good sized book.
A lot of reading. I'm not comfortable with that much reading.
But before we get into that, let's say hi to the chat real quick. Chris Barrett is in the chat. Surprise, surprise. Thunderhouse Design. Chris Barrett also says, this show will have my 3 favorite people plus Alec. That's fair.
Alec, you're one of my favorite people.
Oh, thank you.
I was excited about taking an awkward selfie with you when I met you, remember?
I know. That was great fun. Kavi's here. Comic Books NYC. What's up, brother? Comic Man Andy here for the popcorn. Unruly Simeon is here. Bear Island Comics is here. Also here for the popcorn. This show feels way classier tonight. I think it's only in juxtaposition to the show we just did. Chris Barrett wants to know where Mark is. Is he eating?
Mark's making a pizza right now.
Yeah, so I'm sure he'll be on screen eating that moment.
Is that a 10-15 pizza? There you go. Doing it.
Why not?
Bob World's here. What's up, Bob?
Hi, Bob.
And Scott Evans is in the chat. Thank you all for joining us.
Bob World, because
and look at this.
He does
great
so
legend.
many amazing intros. That's what's up. Hi, Ledge. Where's Carson?
I don't know. He jumped in right at the end of our last show and was very confused. Rightfully
Sorry,
so.
I had to say that because Legend's always asking me, "Where's Carson?" You and Carson live like 2 minutes away from each other, right?
Hey, and speak of the devil, he appears. Not that he's a devil; he's a great guy.
I was trying to shout out Bob World. If you guys don't watch his channel, he's always dropping really great graphics for many YouTubers in the comic community. He did stuff for TiVo. Of course, he does a ton for the comic core. And he's a really cool guy.
Fantastic.
Yeah, really good
Really
stuff.
Cool guy.
He just needs to make some with sharks.
He did that graphic that we constantly use on the greatest comic book show ever. That is like 80% of our humor. So thank you. And not because it's funny, but because we try to use it when we
don't have
anything to say, which is.
I could use a good intro. Obviously, I don't have anything. So.
Oh, geez.
Just saying.
That was real subtle, John.
I'm a subtle guy. And yes, I changed my shirt. This is my Wednesday routine. I never wear the same shirt on both shows. I want people to be caught in the illusion of YouTube.
That's a different day. Right? No, I just wear the same shirt. And then they come out weeks apart and people are like, oh, you're wearing the same shirt. I'm like, no, I filmed 6 episodes in one little thing.
Or maybe you just did laundry like a human being.
I just throw a shirt away when I'm done. I got
well, we don't exactly have King John free money,
right?
I do the laundry.
Corvidal's in the chat says Tartarus 1. Yes, that is actually what we are going to be talking about, starting right now.
Right now.
So this book was long.
Yeah.
Would either of you dare to sum up the plot? Because I do not.
Okay, so there are 2 stories here. Let's start off with that. There's 2 stories here. When we first dive into it, there is a very involved prison break where a kind of dethroned
so do I, Jason.
Sorry. Facebook call. So sorry.
I like that Unruly says I'm the Jack Reacher of YouTube, and I really want to know, does that mean I just go around killing people hand-to-hand combat style?
A dethroned female warlord is escaping this maximum security prison, and
they have this whole
goes nuts real quick.
like
Yeah.
schematic of the prison, which I thought like, okay, this is taking place in a prison. If they took that much time to show you this whole, nope, definitely does not. It's like the first 3 pages in a prison.
Mm-hmm. And it goes crazy real quick. Did anyone else have an issue with like trying to map out the names? Shirka?
I would say in
Shirka?
general.
Shirka?
Yeah.
I know I'm
circa.
butchering.
I pronounced it circa, like as in circa
Circa?
1984.
But it's her escaping. It's her meeting up with her crew, and then there's a whole second story.
It's like her whole Snowpiercer plan plays out, right? She gets her whole like, I got to break through all the layers of the prison because I have a goal in mind.
Yeah, which sounds interesting.
Sounds interesting.
Was it?
I will say, like, I had a big issue. I was constantly rereading pages.
Yeah.
I was constantly, wait, who is that? Wait, what's happening? Wait, who? There were definitely parts where I was like, did they just skip time? And I had to really reread it to understand. No, they didn't. There's just a weird angle they chose for this panel.
We're talking about that book right there.
So
I read it digitally. Sorry, I can't show you. I have notes.
I'm very glad that we read this back to back with the book we read last week, because I feel in a way, like on paper, when you think about it, they're kind of similar so far as that they throw you into the middle of the story. They try to let the story unfold like as it goes and let you discover what's happening as it happens. But I feel like last week that was done very successfully, and this week was confusing.
Could you remind me, because I don't watch our show, what did we read last week?
Wow. We read Protector.
Marvel, right?
No, it was an Image book.
Image, right.
It was actually 2 weeks ago because you had prior engagement last week.
I did.
So maybe that's why you didn't remember. But
yeah, I totally agree. There was similarities here that I mean, obviously, like Protector would be the Cliff Notes version of this book.
Yeah, so this was thick. But like, what did it need to be?
Well, so we've talked about part 1, right? The prison break storyline where
So she breaks out of prison
she gets to her daughter.
Get reunited with her daughter. Then this guy
who is apparently also in the prison.
I don't think so.
Well, in one layer of it, she's not like on another planet or
no, she's on the surface.
She's like right outside.
Yeah.
She's with that blonde girl right outside.
Right. Who gives her and then this guy who we just get introduced to randomly gets handed this mega sniper rifle who shoots at them and blows up the entire world practically.
Pretty much.
Creates this whole crater, and he gets arrested for killing
the Keymaster?
The Keymaster, who I assume is like the warden of the prison, who's fighting this escaped convict, trying to get her back into the prison. So you think that's the story, but nope. It was half the book to introduce the baby, which
I'm not gonna lie. If they would have just stopped it right there as issue 1 to be continued, I would have been fine with this book. But once I was like, wait, there's more to this, and I just kept reading, I got lost. And I'm like, oh, so this is the kid later on.
Yeah, the second half of the story is 17 years later, we get to follow like this group of soldiers. They're in a military academy.
Yeah.
And
one of which is this
spoiler.
Tild.
This is a spoiler show.
Yeah.
One of them is the little girl, right now 17 years older, and she does not know that this revolutionary prisoner was her mother. Instead, now she is being told this because of a genetic test that's going to happen in the story.
Now, is she a revolutionary or is she a criminal?
It's hard because they discuss the history of that planet and how the mining colony that was there tried to create weapons and then fund another group's war, and then they were shut down and sort of turned into a prison as a result.
Speaking of which, that was by far the weirdest part of this book for me, because like we were saying before, it's all super like you're thrown into the middle of it. It's super hard to understand. Like they're giving you these like really subtle points where like you don't really know what's going on. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I'm going to have a full 2 pages of me just telling you the plot. Why?
It was, I think we can all agree that it was seriously confusing, and it was one of those things where if you didn't pay close enough attention, you were constantly going back to reread certain things, which I thought was seriously annoying. I kind of tuned out like halfway through the second half of it, and I was like, oh wait, it's the child, and I had to go back to reread the entire second half.
Yeah.
Once they started the genetic testing, I was like, okay, well, it's clearly important. It's probably going to be the kid, like somehow alive.
Oh, I got it immediately because she had freckles.
But they have this like amazing amount of new characters they shove at us right here in the second half.
It's a completely different book.
Yeah. It felt like they tried to like start a whole new comic book with like so many different characters, all of them with their own stories and plots and problems and things. And you're like, okay, wait, I was just getting to understand the prison thing. And now it's like all those people pretty much gone and dead.
Inconsequential.
And we're now jumping into something else. And they spent so much time on that stuff.
And some, like, the art kind of intrigued me to a point. It's very, very manga inspired, but it wasn't like super manga-y, but it was definitely had that like manga flair. So I found it interesting at points, but as far as it telling a story, I feel like they dropped the ball a number of times because there were panels where I was like, I don't know how this relates to the previous panel.
So for me, as far as the art went, the backgrounds I thought were fantastic. I thought the color work throughout, especially when they had like the explosion panels, which they had quite a few of them in that first story, like the huge explosions. I thought those were really well done. But then you got to some of the people and how the actual characters looked, and I was like, oh God, that's hideous. For me, I feel like some of the backgrounds really reminded me of like some of James Stowe's early work, but then the people, it was rushed and it was all over the place. And there's some panels where like the prisoners had their numbers tattooed up here, and some of them where they just didn't show that, and they never like explained anything there. I wish they had explained more about the prison. I wish that this had been one story and not two. Personally,
I wish that this had been like a 6-issue arc of them trying to escape the prison. That would have been awesome.
Right?
Yeah, I really wanted that. I was like, "Ooh, this is gonna be a crazy prison story."
Yeah, you brought up Snowpiercer, and like that's an entire movie about them trying to escape the prison train, and that movie rules.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just like, oh, we're just gonna have like 6 pages of her trying to escape a prison with a bunch of people on this rocket car, and then, oh, it's not about this prison at all. Sorry. Like, I would have been more invested in that story than
what we got.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I do think the second half of the two is weaker. If you're going into this and you haven't read it, the first half, I think, even though it is confusing, and there were times I'm trying to figure out who this person is and who that person is, it's that new comic stuff that you get when you have an issue 1 that's unfamiliar territory.
Or some people are asking about what the art looks like. I'll try to show it.
But in the second half, which is what this picture that Alec is showing,
half.
This is the second half. And there's a ton of characters, and I think it's far more confusing. I even had trouble figuring out who I'm supposed to be following and caring about in this.
Yeah. Like, show one of the like explosion panels.
One of the many.
Yeah, there's so many to choose from. Like in the first story and everything, there's so many of them.
I got one. Oh, all right, screw you.
See, like that.
Like the colors are cool. It's
not
interesting.
that bad.
And honestly, like the characters sometimes I found interesting. It was just like inconsistent for me. Like this panel with this cat thing, that panel, that's a cool panel.
Mm-hmm.
So like I didn't hate the art. It just like didn't, for me, it didn't tell the story very well.
I found an explosion.
See, and the color work on that explosion is very well done. But I fully agree with you. It's very inconsistent throughout. And I feel like not only was the story stronger in the first, but the artwork's a lot stronger in the first one.
Yeah.
It's almost like they had this little mini that they had done, and they're like, well, we need to finish it off. We need the rest of these pages done. And they're like, hey, I got this one thing on the back burner, never quite flushed it out. Let's just tack it on.
And again, here's the schematic for the prison, and you see in the black one, or way down at the bottom, there's like this little dot, and that's for like, and this is underground, by the way. So this is not a overhead view. This is a vertical view. So the top is the surface, and it goes down into the ground. So this is the spot where the most dangerous prisoner lives, which is this character that we're following who's trying to escape.
And they give you another map immediately preceding that, where they show you kind of the portion of the universe where the story takes place, which is mainly within like, a small distance from the prison.
Yeah, and like, I'll be honest, these first 2 pages of those schematics, I was like, ooh, this is going to be cool, because we're going to see this person down in this super vault, and they're clearly going to escape at some point. But it starts with her already out of that full, huge tunnel. We don't even get to see how she does that. Or we don't get to see the prison.
It skips a lot of her. All of a sudden she's at this level. All of a sudden she's at that level. We don't get the like procedure of it, the Snowpiercer of it, right?
Right. I mean, maybe I'm disappointed because it wasn't what I wanted, but I feel like pretty quickly I kind of understood that it wasn't going to be, and still found it like, it wasn't bad. It was just confusing. That was my biggest criticism.
Confusing. That was like the first word I was, and I don't know. I don't know if it was just me and the headspace I was in. I'm glad to see I'm not the only one. Because like Kat was saying, there were definitely portions I was rereading. If I wasn't focused enough, I was needing to stop and start again. And I will say the second half is what blew it for me. Like I was like, okay, I'm willing to go with this. If it's all of this, I think I'm getting it. And then it was like they threw it all away and went in such a totally separate direction that, in my opinion, the second half, even the plot twists, I could tell what was going to happen. I was not even surprised by the key moments, like the bomb in the second half. I was like, oh, look at that. The guy with the like shiny tooth who's like all creepy. Oh, shocker. He's brought a bomb to kill a general, even though like earlier they said all the generals are getting killed.
Yeah.
Like that guy was so obviously a bomber. Like how did the guard not get it?
And you know me, like I love confusing books. That's kind of my wheelhouse. So for me to say, boy, this book is confusing, yikes.
Like, I actually wrote down the full title that they gave Shirka in the first story, because I thought it was actually really well done. So the title they gave for her was Shirka the Terrible, the Unconquerable, the Left-Handed Woman, Shirka baptized in woe, what is it? Tamer of Tartarus, the Smasher of Bone.
Yeah.
Like,
and
I wanted to know more about Shirka. I wanted her story. I was all in it.
I would assume that that's coming. Like when we're going to go back to that prison colony and see what it's like now, 17 years later, and that she's still there managing something.
I also found it kind of strange that there were like a number of references to Satanism in it, like the left-handed woman, and it starts off with the quote, "As above, so below."
Yep.
And I was like, well, where are they going with this? But it didn't, what?
Fantastic film, by the way.
Oh, yeah, I know.
As above, so below.
Yeah, it was very, very creepy.
Chris Barrett is hilarious right there. Chris saying, is Alex not shitting on this book, or is he shitting on it in a good way?
I mean, no, I did not especially enjoy this book.
Thunderhouse Design, I have read The Passage, which is a kind of quasi-vampire novel.
I read the first one.
And I do agree that that book took a sharp turn, but I didn't find it anywhere half as jarring as this one. And that book was nowhere near as confusing as this. There were a lot of issues with, I would say, the art confusing the narrative.
Yeah.
Times when
for
I thought,
sure.
I could not tell if we had just jumped in time or in location between two panels where we hadn't. And upon rereading, I would notice, no, we hadn't jumped, but those panels just don't fit together well.
Yeah.
And that happened a bunch in the second half.
The passage, I mean, it was surprising when they did the jump. They do a huge time jump in the passage. And it's surprising because it's so far into the book. But so I feel like it would be similar as if this did it like 3 issues in, because the 2 stories do relate to each other, like the passage. The stories that of the 2 halves of the passage relate to each other.
And these do as well.
But I feel like if they had done 3 issues and 3 issues or something where you get like a little more meat on the bone, I don't know.
Or even if you did kind of what I mean, I've only just begun to really read Descender versus Ascender, but like the idea of a story that covers the prison break, and this is your 6-issue storyline, like we were saying, and then the next trade storyline, whatever, starts 17 years later, and we're trying to figure out how these characters are related to the last characters. But by then, we've invested this time in this prison break, and we know a few of the characters in the periphery.
Yeah. And I'm a sucker for like futuristic prisons. I think in movies and stuff, I think they're super interesting.
Have you actually, sorry to go a little off topic here, but have you actually read any of the Snowpiercer graphic novels?
I haven't.
I've only seen the movie.
They're not bad.
Yeah.
They're not bad.
My local library has a couple, and I've thought about checking them out a few times.
I'd suggest it, because it kind of adds a bit more to the lore.
Sure.
Kind of in there. And like the ones that I have read, it just kind of reaffirms my headcanon and a lot of other people's like theories, headcanons, whatever, that it's an unofficial continuation of Willy Wonka.
Yes, I've heard this.
It actually, it totally,
yes.
It 100% fits up, like matches. If you actually think about it one way or the other.
The Ed Harris character is supposed to be like Charlie.
Like there was a whole thing where Mark sat me down for like an hour, because I didn't believe it when he first told me this. He sat me down for an hour and told me every single point mapped out. And I was like, oh my God. At the end of it.
Crazy. There are YouTube videos. Yeah, you can watch videos on this.
Once it clicks,
I will definitely check
it out.
You can't stop. You can't not tell. You can't not see it.
You can't unsee it, because it's everywhere then. Once you go back.
Geek Aficionado says, I keep wanting to watch that Snowpiercer movie. Is this book related to it? Not at all. No. We were just comparing it because they're about
the Snowpiercer movie is fantastic, by the way.
And we got a super chat from Comics Was Explained.
Mark saying 50 years in the future.
Check out Canopus by Dave Chisholm from Scout Comics. Comes out next week. I think you'll like it. Weird emotional stuff. Very cool.
Nice. I'll put it on my watch list.
Thanks for the super chat. That's going to go straight to literacy campaign charities. Once I get a check from Google. One day. So yeah, it is a weird book.
Very weird book.
Oh, John's putting.
I'm writing that down because I don't want to forget. So
what weird book?
Canopus, which is an awful name.
Well, Tartarus is a weird name too.
Scout Comics has a lot of really good stuff. Another thing that they have is Stabbity Bunny.
Right, I heard
love that.
Which that's fantastic, and they've had like a lot of different like one shots and different events that have tied into the original Stabbity Bunny trade that had came out. What was it, like a year ago, 2 years ago? And it's fantastic. It's all about what a bunny is willing to do to save his girl.
Geek Aficionado says sounds like cannabis. Maybe they wanted it to. I feel like a lot of the indie publishers are doing like some interesting stuff. I don't want to say daring because it's not like,
I'm a big Boom Studios fan from last year. Like I felt like Once in Future and
which is why I'm surprised you didn't pick up Alienated.
Strange Skies, and what was there was a third one, Something's Killing the Children.
Yep.
Yeah. So I thought they had a great 2019, but yeah, I was trying to control my list, and I decided to spend money at Marvel, and I might regret it, but who knows?
Yeah. Well, I usually do. I feel like it's funny for a book this long. I don't have a whole lot else to say about it. I feel like I'm like kind of repeating myself unless you guys have more points. Do you want to bring up?
I mean, I honestly feel like I don't have a lot more to say.
I did want to. One thing I found very interesting was the guy who did sign language, how they did the word bubbles for that.
Ooh, yeah. So I can go to that page if you want.
Thought that was interestingly visual. So this guy is some sort of monk who works with this water, which is what everyone's after, because you can like form this water into anything that you can think of. And they have these people called water shapers, and he's becoming this monk of water shaping. And so he's taking this vow of silence to do so. And so when he's talking, you can see like they have it coming from his hands.
Yeah, it's a cool way to do that. And it took me a second to get it as well, to be kind of like, okay, what's with the way the word bubbles are happening here? And again, the framing was like, who's talking to who here?
Yeah.
And they zoom in on this one guy who's in the liquid, but this other guy was talking, and then there's a third guy.
Right.
And it's confusing.
I think my eyes just kind of glossed over, like even during the explanation of it, because it's all over the place.
And you don't know any of them. So you're like, okay, who's this and who's this and who's what and what?
And it's funny that scene I was complaining about earlier where the guy just like spells everything out. There was some very interesting stuff in there as far as like the world that they're trying to build.
Yeah.
But like, why just info dump it like that? And because like, I wish they kind of had spread it out a little more, peppered it in, if you will.
Well, and then other things get missed. And I wanted to jump to the very end real quick.
Okay.
At the end, when the girl's genetics are revealed that she is, in fact, the daughter of this prison inmate, she is being sort of threatened by this general, right? Yep. And he says, kill yourself if you're going to prove that you're on the side of the military now and not on your mom's side. Just kill yourself. He gives her the sword. She freaks out with the sword. It's all lit up. Then the bomb goes, the second or third or however many bomb goes off, and we never find out what she does.
Well, we see her at the end.
You do. You flip to the very end.
Her, but we don't know what she did. Did she?
So speaking of seeing her at the end, so here's what she looks like when she's talking to the general.
She turns Rambo real quick.
And then the bomb goes off, and
she looks like that.
She looks like that. But why?
They did. But did she kill that other guy? Did the bomb just knock him down and she ran off? Like that was a big moment. Yeah. And they kind of just didn't give you that piece.
Right. We don't know. Maybe that was intentional, but they didn't. It's not clearly intentional. It's just like because the rest of the book was so confusing, you don't think that confusing part is intentional. Like if the rest of the book was clear, and then you had this kind of like ambiguous moment, you might think, oh, like are they trying to do that to make you not sure what happened? But because everything is so confusing and up in the air and unclear, you just think, well, what the hell?
That's what I thought. I just thought, what the hell?
Thunderhouse Design says she turned mod and rode off on her Vespa. Yeah. She's got this baggy shirt and these suspenders. Yeah, I don't know, man. It was weird.
So for me, like I'd rather, last time we read Protector, and I would definitely rather get issue 2 of Protector personally.
Oh, absolutely, 100%. Especially because this was $6. And I mean, you did get a lot for $6, but
I felt like for my money, I got more than I should expect for $6. Like I've bought $5.99 books from DC and been supremely disappointed in that investment.
Sure, I mean, you got more story, but was it story that you wanted to read?
I'm not gonna lie, if they would have ended it right there with explosion, like to be continued, I would have been fine.
Yeah.
I probably would have been like, yeah, this is a book to go out to get. It's got some issues.
They're building something.
There's something going there. I can see it. But instead, they did this whole second story, and they completely lost me. And I'm like, yeah.
Right. And, I mean, my question now is like, is the next issue going to be the same thing where they do the past and the present again?
I don't know.
Or is it
counterpoint? If they had done it the way you said, Kat, and the second issue was the second half you got here, would you have been like, this is bullshit and I'm out?
I would have been like, this is bullshit.
Like, oh, okay, maybe I'll give it another issue.
I'm not gonna lie, like this second story just threw me so much, and I was like completely taken out. The art is drastically worse compared to the first one. The coloring's not even as good as the first one. The writing was not as good as the first one. Not that the first part was perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but it was something that I could see where it was going. It was something that kept me interested. Some of the characters were a little strange, here and there. But I was interested to know, like, why are these prisoners here? What's going on? I wanted to know more about this ex-warlord, Shirka. I wanted to know exactly what was going on with all of this. But, you just kind of keep going. And I believe that it explained in the comic that her daughter was born in the prison.
Yeah.
Or something. And it's like, that's why all this was going on. And it's like, it completely took me out. I got really excited when I saw, like you, when I saw the original schematic of the prison. And I was like, oh, okay, so we're going to have like a prison break story. We're going to go really far into this prison. We're going to learn more about Tartarus. We're going to learn more about the pit. But we really didn't. We kind of went level by level. She's clearing up and she's killing everyone, and it's getting walkie-talkied in and out. And I was like, okay, I'm still cool with that. And then it just completely changed. And I was like, maybe if they did a one-shot of just Shirka and her story.
Separate from the storyline.
I might pick that up.
You know what might have been a really interesting thing to do, which I don't know if anyone's done this specifically, is to release 2 books at the same time. Just have like the stories kind of coexisting.
Well, they do that right now with Animosity.
Okay.
So they've got Animosity. And then they've got like the Rise of Animosity and the World of Animosity right now. Like they're all technically separate titles and they're all technically separate stories, but they're all in the same world and they're telling you exactly what's going on, how certain things are happening. Where Animosity, you see the family before and then you see it once it's already going on. And it's like it jumps ahead. Her parents are dead and the dog is taking care of his girl, he's taking care of his human girl, and that's his responsibility at that point because he is now her pseudo father figure at that point. And you get to see how exactly all of this came about, the rise of the animals and all that. And that's its own thing. But with this, I don't know if this could necessarily hold multiple titles at the same time, especially since it's a brand new thing.
Yeah.
I mean, Animosity did that, but they were already, I think, like
established.
2.5 trades into the first storyline when they started the second.
So this is $6. If you release them both at $2.99 and did like a Tartarus, like whatever, like the age, whatever the year is, and then like a Tartarus 17 years beyond that, and they just had both stories. I don't know. I feel like that it almost needs to be something like that, where because their stories, they definitely relate and they're definitely there's something to the first story that's important in the second story, I guess, eventually.
But I think ultimately the flaw is that the main title, right? If you had Tartarus 0 as the prison break and Tartarus 1 as the like main story, the main story sucks so bad and the artwork is so flawed that nobody's going to care that the prequel was decent. There's no way around that.
Or conversely, if they did like 2 pages of the lady breaking out of prison to get the baby and then getting blown up, and then the rest of the book would, so like you don't ever really think that that's what it's about. It's super weird because it's like half and half.
Yeah.
Right.
I just feel like we got faked out on that, and I didn't appreciate that.
Yeah, I don't know. I wanted more Prison Break, less recruits into the military.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I do still feel like that second part of the story was so flooded with new characters and with things. I was just like spending my time rereading pages a lot.
Yeah, I haven't gotten a chance to read anything else because this was 50 pages long, but Red Hat Sart said Undone by Blood was badass today.
Is that yeah? I got this one thanks to Borinkin Comics. Shouted this out, and I snagged this Western from Aftershock. So
art looks real nice in that.
I'm excited to read it. I loved this cover with the girl in the center there. Sorry. Super creepy and yet also kind of westerny. Did you get anything this week, Kat, that you're looking forward to?
The number one book that I'm looking forward to, hands down, for this week, I guarantee majority of people don't even care about. That's Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey, because we got Amanda Connor and Jimmy Palmiotti back on a Harley book.
I thought about buying it, but I've decided that like I'm not buying any single issues Black Label oversized stuff anymore because I just don't have anywhere to put them. So I'm gonna read anything like that in trade.
You want to say hi?
TJ says most confusing review yet. Congrats.
Yes.
Why is that? I feel like I don't know. I thought we were pretty clear that we didn't like it.
It was not great. Save your money.
Yeah. If you haven't bought it yet,
Don't.
I mean, you can flip through it, but it was not for me. And like, if everything on paper, this book should be for me, right? It's like an indie book with a weird, confusing story with unusual artwork, and I think they just like
yet somehow it rolled snake eyes.
Yeah. Yeah, they had weighted dice and somehow they still missed it. Hey, there's Mark.
What's on the pizza, brother?
Joined us to eat something.
Mm-hmm. You're not a cheese only.
That's not his
food there, right?
What's wrong with cheese only
for you?
Oh, it's pepperoni.
No. Tell him what you normally put on your pizza.
Oh, like marshmallows and like sweet potatoes.
He puts sweet potatoes and marshmallows on his pizza normally.
Sometimes.
I mean, that's unusual. It's, I guess, like,
we're out of sweet potatoes right now.
I put French fries on my pizza.
This is like
so I mean
Inside Out. Thanks for ruining pizza.
Hey, you know what? So I'm kind of this horseradish and hot sauce is great. It's as a dipping sauce.
That I can see more.
Mm-hmm.
I like cheese only. In fact, here's my opinion on cheese only pizza.
That you're 12.
Does it have multiple cheeses at least?
It can.
There have to be at least 5 cheeses to make
it's got to have
pizza.
multiple cheeses.
If I go to a new pizza place, I typically first, and I do this with ice cream too. I don't get cheese.
You start with vanilla.
I start with vanilla. Vanilla is great. Vanilla is underrated.
Vanilla can be fine.
Alec
When
just
it's-
lost 17
When
subscribers.
when it's added with like a cookie dough
No.
or a chocolate chip
Vanilla bean.
or
No, I like these
Napoleon.
really offbeat bands and comics you've never heard of, and vanilla ice cream.
Vanilla
ice cream is legit. Vanilla ice cream gets a bad rap, but I get vanilla ice cream and I get cheese pizza because they're so simple they're hard to do well. And if a pizza place can't do a good cheese pizza,
true.
I don't care what kind of stuff you put on top to fancy it up. I'm not gonna.
It's true. That's a good point, actually.
Yeah. What's
I will
up?
tell you it's a
Vanilla
good point.
MVP. Be
I
rain.
will. I'm actually just messing with you, Alec, because the truth is I'm actually allergic to chocolate, so I tend to get vanilla ice cream fairly often. But I put crap on it. You put the caramel on it, or you put the something on it.
What
A
about
good
frozen
vanilla does not need anything. What?
frozen custard?
Is that
Is
like
that-
flan?
What?
It's like frozen yogurt. And
It's like
such
frozen
that.
yogurt, but it's amazing because they actually sift it all in front of you and you add whatever you want to it.
A lot of vanilla ice cream chat in the chat now. I stand by it. Vanilla ice cream, great.
I
Well,
like
of course, you stand by all your hot takes.
Hot take. Brett has heart just said food is good.
Okay, now that I've distracted everybody with food, what were we talking about?
Hey, you got us onto something better than this book.
Oh,
fuck.
hot damn. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have much else to say about this book. It was bleh.
Blah.
I will not be
Right.
buying issue 2.
I won't either. John, you buying issue 2?
Chris Barrett actually agrees with something I said.
I'm cutting way back on my pull list, so this is definitely not making the cut. Protector is right on the line. I'm gonna flip through the issue when
Comics
the new
Explained said that was a cold take.
I
It's ice cream.
said that joke already.
Oh, okay.
Thanks.
Yeah, so issue 2 is going to be no go for me, especially because I plan on buying every single cover for Mercy #1 when that comes out in a couple weeks.
America El Delfo.
If you haven't seen some of the store exclusives,
Yes, they're
Hot-
gorgeous.
Hot Fire, Jenny Frizen did one, Peach Momoko,
And
Stephanie
Emily
Hans.
Hyuk
Yep.
Young variant.
In Hyuk Lee.
Yeah, I always butcher his name. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The art germ cover is even solid, and that's one of the
Yeah.
main covers.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a regular one.
For the most part, like all of her books, when they come out with the gajillion store exclusives, it's super annoying for my wallet because I want them all. I want them all.
Yeah. I did order a bunch.
Like,
they're real nice looking. I hope the book's good because I just bought like 5 covers.
oh, it will be. It will be. If you like Unnatural or what she's doing right now with Unsacred,
Mhm.
it's all of her books are pretty much like that.
Yeah,
I love her art.
Sanctum Sanctorum, as the Frizen. A few places already sold out because some of the store exclusives were like 500 copies. So get them while you can. Get them while they're hot.
Okay.
I heard one of them's like 300 copies, which I don't know if that's true.
Wow.
But yeah, even the standard like retailer covers, I don't think any of those are like ratios. I think they're just releasing 5 covers or something.
Yeah.
They're all real nice looking.
There's even a couple con exclusives, I think,
Yep.
coming out. So.
Yep.
You're gonna eat your pizza.
Yes, I'm gonna-
And then also there's that new Dodson book coming out next week, and the new Hickman book's coming out in March too. So some stuff to look out for. Speaking of next week, let me just make sure I got confirmation. Yep,
Wolverines.
we're doing Wolverine #1, and the Wolverine fan, Big Will, is going to be our guest.
Wolverine.
We'll see how that goes.
I just rewatched Red Dawn. That's a really good movie. Except for the ending, which I never really understood. Like they don't really wrap that story up at all.
And
Which one, original or remake?
Great
Come on,
Legend
come
Show
on.
coming in at the last minute with the $1.99 super chat
Hey,
says
Great
gloves.
Legend.
Fine, I'll go put the gloves on.
making fun of Mark's arthritis gloves.
um,
He wore arthritis gloves last night during the stream, and everyone made fun of him for it.
and at some point, I just finished reading Harry Potter. Why I say reading is because I listen to audiobooks. For the first time ever, And so
It's
John and Boyo at 7 and maybe someone else are going to join us.
Odin wants to say hi.
Hi, Papo. We're going to do a stream and talk about what I thought about it.
I'm sure there will be plenty of hot takes or cold takes.
I mean, I am a Slytherin.
Hey, come on.
Ravenclaw.
Here's my thing. When I was a kid, I used to say like, "Oh, I'm a Gryffindor. I'm a Gryffindor." No, let's be honest here. I'm most likely a Slytherin.
Yeah. So there's like an official test you can take. We're getting way off topic here. There's an official test.
I'm gonna be sorted into a hat professionally in a couple months. So, because we're going to Harry Potter World,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be sorted. It's gonna be fine. I'm gonna be in.
I got sorted
And
into a hat professionally.
I did that twice. Both times it said Slytherin. Every test I've taken, every like third party sorting test I've taken, I was Ravenclaw. But the official hat tells me I'm Slytherin. So I guess I'm a Death Eater.
The hat takes your perspective into account.
Yeah.
Well, it only does if it can actually hear your thoughts, and the app does not hear your thoughts.
Cat in the Hat. Yes, we're gonna be professionally sorted. We're gonna get wands. It's gonna be a whole thing.
You can get a wand. I'm good.
You're not gonna go to Ollivanders?
I'll go there, but I'm not getting a wand.
I took the girls to
Why do I
Potter
want
for cakes.
for an X amount of money?
Because it's cool.
I can go to the backyard and get the same thing.
It is just a stick, but you can't wave it at the park and make things do things.
Yeah, when Kate turned 11, we went to Universal for the whole Potter. She got her ticket to Hogwarts, and we went and the whole thing. And when we went in to do the like wand ceremony thing, where they bring in like 5 families and they pick somebody, they picked Kate, and she got to go up and do the whole wand ceremony. It was awesome. But of course, you got to buy the wand at that point. You're not getting out of that. This wand is picked. It has picked you.
Yeah. Well, if for Kate, it's picked her, and you have to buy it. But as an adult, you can say, "No, thanks, I don't want this one."
You can stick that wand up your ass.
Well, I won't go that far.
I mean,
Galaxy's Edge is amazing. I love it so much. The new ride is the greatest thing I've ever done in my life. I had to get there at 5 a.m. to ride it, but worth it.
Well, Katie, if you buy a wand, just think of it this way: it'll start a great fire.
You're not burning the wand in the fire pit.
They're plastic.
No, they're totally made of plastic.
Oh,
You'd be surprised the things this guy has melted before.
But you can walk around the park. You're going Expelliarmus. Stupefy. All right. I guess that's how we should end it. You guys have anything going on your channels you'd like to plug?
Still working on a pretty big thing for the relaunch of Cinema Figures. That's a pretty big thing we got going on right now.
we're relaunching it.
Yes, we're relaunching Cinema Figures. Where have you been?
Eating.
Also, I know we were talking. I know somebody mentioned it in the chat, but Comic Core does have another yard sale going on. I believe Sunday is the day that we agreed upon. So huge shout out to the Comic Core. Of course, there's a stream almost every night on the Comic Core. So if you're here, maybe check them out, because everyone up here has been a part of the Comic Core at some point in time or another.
What's the Comic Core?
Chris Barrett says, "Now, when I went to Galaxy's Edge, Kylo Ren accused me of being a Jedi." So one of my favorite Galaxy's Edge moments was right after I got my lightsaber. And they have stormtroopers just like wandering around this area, and they started walking up towards me, and I turned on my lightsaber, and they just turned and walked away. And I thought that was really funny.
That's because all day long they get little kids run up and trying to beat the crap out of them with plastic lightsabers.
Yeah, and clearly I'm like an 8-year-old.
It's okay. They can't actually hit you.
Chris Barrett points out all proceeds of the yard sale go to the Hero Initiative.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
John?
I'm going to be going away this weekend, so I don't have a whole lot going on this weekend. But tomorrow, I'm dropping my next silly characters review video. I got another 9-minute bit of glory dropping tomorrow night. I dropped one last Friday. Wasn't supremely popular. I don't think I've crossed over 100 views on that one yet, but so you can check that out on my
The
channel.
one with Charlie, John?
Yeah, Charlie with the mustache.
That was hilarious.
Less than 100 views.
Although her best joke about it was on Saturday Morning Comics when you said, "Oh, you don't have the mustache anymore." She said, "Yeah, I shaved."
The quick-witted one, yeah.
Yeah. She's
so we had Lego. It also had Lego, Rod, Perry, and Edwin. I thought that was pretty funny. So there's some good stuff. But I got another one dropping tomorrow night, so you can check that one out. I'll do a live premiere sometime around this hour tomorrow night.
That's what's up.
Very cool. As usual.
1-2 Comic Talk tomorrow is doing a reader's theater of the first few issues of Kanto. And I'm going to be helping out doing the voice of the elder. No jokes about my age. And so that will be tomorrow on their channel. I want to say it's 6 o'clock Pacific, 9 Eastern. So it'll be fun. There's several YouTubers from the comic book community providing voices. And then 1-2 Comic Talk will be turning the pages and highlighting the panels as we read.
That's fun.
Yeah.
If I end up doing the Harry Potter thing, that is happening. Otherwise, as per usual, there's nothing going on my channel, except book club. I am, however, working on something non-comic book related that I may or may not do on YouTube. So
Do it.
probably not.
Do
But
it.
I'll at least tell everyone if it happens. Other than that,
Yeah.
just hanging out wearing shorts because it's 80 degrees here.
I'm actually going to be sledding tomorrow while she's at work.
That's also fun.
Yeah. I have what is it? An inflatable unicorn
It's
tube?
an inflatable unicorn.
Are you going to record that and put it on YouTube?
Oh, yes, I am. I'm also be wearing my Deadpool mask as I'm riding down this hill.
Hell yeah. It is not Missing Pieces Volume 2, Chris Barrett.
Hopefully I don't break anything. It's okay.
I'm not taking care of him if he does.
I got insurance.
Thanks,
Be all right.
everyone, for joining us. It's 40 and raining in Rhode Island. I guess that's better than 32 and snowing.
We got snow everywhere.
Yeah.
Sucks.
Thanks for everyone who came out to hang out, watch us talk about this book and a lot of other things, probably just as much as we talked about the book. And join us next week on John's channel for Wolverine #1 with Big Will. And check myself and John out every Wednesday on the Comic Core right before this show for the greatest comic book show ever. If you've never watched that before, it's a wild ride.
You missed some classic comedy, folks. StreamYard glory.
And KatRen is usually on Friday nights on the
Asia.
On the Rails show.
On the rails now.
And Mark is there eating as well. So if you like to see Mark eat, check out Friday Comic Core show.
Never stops eating.
Not really.
Only other thing I have to say is never turn your back on the ocean. Okay.